In the years since he was acquitted of murdering his wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ronald Goldman in a criminal trial and then found liable for those same murders in a civil trial, O.J. Simpson has rarely consented to live TV interviews. But now, because he's fronting a new website to promote his innocence, he's agreed to sit down with us. O.J. Simpson, good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Couric.
Needless to say, there's a lot of controversy surrounding this interview. We had some calls to NBC complaining about your appearance, calling it disgraceful, disgusting, appalling, disappointing, saddening, and depressing. Some people do not believe you deserve a forum on national television. What's your reaction to that?
Well, you know, I think for the last 5 years, untrue to the spirit of our country, we've had a one-sided debate. Many times I watch TV, I'm watching something totally unrelated to my case or me, and they bring me up. So essentially they've kept me in the media for 5 years, even though I've tried to avoid it. The few times I have responded, I think only one time, unsolicited by a radio or TV station, that I call in, always to correct some erroneous statement. I would get 1,000 letters or so in the next week saying, good, it's a good thing you did it. You know, you should speak up more often. But I've never really found the forum to do it until I started watching the internet. And I believe that so many people, millions of Americans, don't believe in my guilt in any way, shape, or form and wants to hear from me. So those people have an opportunity to log on and hear from me.
Well, tell me a little bit more about this website that you have set up or that you are involved in. I know it's $9.95 and people can ask you anything they want.
Except for my kids, except for, you know, anything real, you know, try to penetrate or anything about my kids. Yes. It's not my website. I was approached by a friend of mine whose son was in a car accident, and they have a charity trying to raise funds. They help people with brain injury, a Project Headway. And she wanted me to possibly do a couple of interviews, and they would donate money to the charity. Well, I'm against taped interviews because I've been burnt a few times. I've taped the interview, and even last week I saw an interview where they just turned around what I said and edited it and had me saying things that, implying things that I didn't say. In any event, I said, sure, I'd do it, but I really didn't want to do a taped interview. I was aware that a few people were talking to me about doing an internet show. I told her, well, maybe you guys should talk to these people, friends out in California, and they started a public crossing to try to develop a forum in which I can go on the internet and talk, and eventually they got involved with ENI, and which has more experience with the internet, and consequently I said, yes, I'll do it.
So you're not going to make one penny?
Not a dime.
Off this venture?
Not a dime.
I know that you are going to give the money to 3 charities.
Well, I'm not giving the money to anyone. I requested of them to make donations to my main charity over the years that I helped start years ago with Michael Jackson and Dustin Hoffman and Neil Diamond, among others, Camp Good Times, which is for kids who had cancer, who couldn't go to camp otherwise. And over the years, that's been my main charity other than the Boys Clubs of America. And then there's the Innocence Project, which I believe in. The work that Peter Neufeld and Barry Scheck is doing, I think is...
Two of your defense attorneys.
Two of the great lawyers in this country, and I think they're doing a service to America.
Let me ask you about the Innocence Project, because I spoke with Barry Scheck on the phone yesterday, and he knew nothing of your plan to donate money to that project. Have you or your representatives contacted anyone at the Innocence Project about this?
As I said, it's not my representatives. I have informed Peter Neufeld, his partner. We've talked about it, and I told him that these guys are going to be making a donation to you guys, and he was glad to hear it.
Camp Good Times issued a statement to us yesterday, Mr. Simpson. It reads, quote, "We do not allow our name to be associated with any fundraising activities without prior approval. We have not given approval to Mr. Simpson or his representatives to use our name." Can you understand that the fact, end quote, can you understand the fact that you have not made arrangements, or that these organizations have said they have not given this website or the organizers of the website permission to use their name, that people are suspicious, they think that perhaps you are profiting from this venture?
Well, I don't think they'll turn down if they don't want the money. I'm sure somebody will anonymously send the money. I hope they'll send it anyway. I've worked firsthand with this organization. As a matter of fact, I was one of the founders and starters of this organization, and gave one of their, every year I would give a big golf tournament called the Ritz-Carlton Coca-Cola Classic for them. No, I haven't called them. I just told these guys to make a donation to them. If they don't want the money, I guess Project Headway will get more money, or the Innocence Project will
It sounds
receive
from the
more
statement
money.
that they're not interested in.
Well, if they don't want it, it'll go to one of the other two charities. I mean, I don't think any parent whose kid has cancer would appreciate them not accepting money that might help the short lives, or maybe in the long last solve this problem with childhood cancer. I don't think the parents care where the money comes from. I know if my kid had cancer, I wouldn't care where the money comes from. But if they don't want it, I'm sure they'll probably still get it anonymously.
If you're going to give the money to charity, why not give it to,
Okay, I'm
if
sorry.
you're asked, if
Yeah,
you've
I'm not giving
asked
the money to anyone. They're making the donations.
If you've asked that the money be given to charity,
yes.
why not give it to the families of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman? I know that you paid them from the auction of some of your memorabilia last year of $400,000, but you still owe them about $33 million more from the judgment in the civil suit.
Well, I will never pay any dime to that verdict. That means I don't work, I don't work. I didn't commit this crime. I don't believe I owe anything. I am, as you know, appealing. I felt that the amount certainly was totally illegal. As far as my kids are concerned, when you say the Browns, you're actually talking about Sydney and Justin. They will get whatever is mine eventually anyway.
Why did you give them $400,000 then?
I didn't give it. I had no choice. That was taken from me. I didn't give it. Because I was, as the police stated, I was as courteous as anyone they've ever known who was getting their personal properties taken from me. I didn't want to, the law said I had to give it up, and I tried to be as helpful as I can be doing it, but obviously voluntarily, it wouldn't have been my choice to do it.
Since we're on the subject, I know you're living off your pension, which is about $25,000 a month, or $16,000 net, and thus far it remains untouchable by the families under California state law.
Under federal law.
Under federal law.
Yes.
Do you ever plan to get a job?
Well, yes, I do. I mean, one of the reasons that I looked forward to move into Florida, because there's certain laws that benefit people in my position. I felt that I've been somewhat stagnant the last 5 years. I'm a guy who's accustomed to doing a lot of work. And those figures, incidentally, were wrong financially, but I don't like talking about my finances. But the simple fact is, yeah, I want to be more active. For the last 5 years, I've been just focusing on my kids. They're at an age now where they have a little more independence and gives me a little more time to do something. And hopefully I'll be doing something, in the internet and focusing more on the media, hopefully.
Will you avoid getting a job, though, because the money will automatically go to the families?
If I had to work to fund what I believe is a wrong decision, I probably would not work, yes.
You recently said you would take a polygraph test if you could get $3 million.
I didn't say any money. I said if it would benefit my kids and I financially, yes, I would.
If you
I don't believe in, incidentally, when I gave LAPD the opportunity to give me a polygraph test voluntarily, only if the results in any future litigation against me would be put into evidence, they said no. So this talk about OJ didn't want to do a polygraph test, it was in writing to the DA's office, and they refused to accept it under those terms. I don't believe in a polygraph test at this point, because I don't see where it ever benefits the person who takes one. The nanny, the famous nanny trial, she took 3, passed all 3. It didn't matter. They still went after him. And as you know, the Ramseys took it, and nobody didn't change anybody's mind.
So you have no interest in doing it now?
If it benefits my family, yes, I do.
So only for financial compensation would you take a polygraph?
There's no other reason to take one.
Have you ever considered taking one on, say, pay-per-view, and then giving the money to the Browns and the Goldmans?
Well, I think we're kind of going back again. I told you I would never do anything if it's going to benefit that verdict. I don't think that verdict was just, and hopefully the appellate courts will see. Will agree.
You released a statement the day you were acquitted. It read in part, your son Jason read it. When things have settled down a bit, I will pursue as my primary goal in life the killer or killers who slaughtered Nicole and Mr. Goldman.
Yes.
They are out there somewhere. Whatever it takes to identify them and bring them in, I will provide somehow. How is the search for the killer or killers going?
Well, from time to time we get information. Just this past week we got some information. I really can't say what the subject matter is because it may impede it. Fortunately for me, I have some private eyes who voluntarily will look into this. I don't have the money to fund it, obviously, and essentially that's almost the only thing you can do. I believe realistically, since my trial, you may have 1,000, 2,000 unsolved crimes in Los Angeles, and I'm sure the families would like to find who did those crimes, but what can you do? I mean, this is not television, this is real life. Faye Rusnick will never sit down and let me give her the third degree. Ron Shipp, various people who the police know lied during my trial. I read all the reports of Faye Rusnick's original comments to the police. I read the follow-up reports, and they knew she was lying, but they never put her feet to the fire to make her explain why she lied. Well, she's not going to talk to me.
Well, many people, you well know, believe this so-called search for the killer or killers is a joke.
Well, you know what? I always figured out, if you think I'm guilty, why isn't NBCU putting up a reward? You would like to find who did this. If I didn't do it, wouldn't you? You have more money than I. Why wouldn't you want to donate something to a reward to find these killers? And if you think I did it, you lose your money. You couldn't lose a dime, you know? And if you find it, you would have the satisfaction to know that you helped bring justice to this case.
Many people are wondering about the Ramparts scandal within the LAPD. Of course, that involves police planting evidence and people getting wrongly convicted as a result, and many of those convictions being overturned. Do you feel the scandal in the LAPD somehow bolsters the theory that you were in fact framed?
I think the atmosphere, if this had happened before my trial, I think people would look at the evidence in my trial differently. My jury, you know, when they interviewed my jury, the jury did not believe the police, and the media didn't do a good job of promoting that. They didn't believe the police. That's why I was found not guilty, not because of some black jury nullification or anything like that. During the course of my trial, they had the Dole trial in Los Angeles at the same time, and a predominantly white jury came to the decision that 41 LA law enforcement officers lied, planted evidence, even had self-inflicted wounds, and consequently it cost the taxpayers of Los Angeles $23 million. No one called that jury unintelligent. No one said it was racially motivated. The jury just did not believe the police, and I thought my lawyers did an excellent job of showing that evidence was planted and tampered with during my trial.
You're planning to move to Miami. Why?
I was constantly trying to move to Miami. I was moving to Miami before this happened. I like Florida, and what stopped me was Nicole showing up and over 3 months convincing me to try a reconciliation, and I didn't want to move until I knew if I was moving as a bachelor or as a, family man.
What does that mean in terms of your children and their ability to spend time with their maternal grandparents?
I think if anyone spoke with the Browns, they would say we have a excellent working relations with the kids. Actually, my son is there now, spending the summer with some of his cousins down there. And honestly, we've had no problems over the last 4 or 5 years dealing with the kids and our relationship with the kids. We attend games together. We put our differences aside to work towards the kids until someone like Gloria Allred gets involved, and then it gets a little kind of screwed up. But basically, we've worked real well together.
How are your children doing?
They're doing terrific. I am so proud of them. They're happy kids. They're very popular kids. I'm constantly having a house full of kids on Friday and Saturday night, spending the night over, and it's interesting. This whole ordeal, being a single parent, is I respect now single parenthood and women who've raised the kids and my mother more than I ever thought I would.
Do they talk with you or ask you about their mother's murder?
No, they don't.
Never?
Never.
It never comes up?
It never comes up, and I was advised by numerous psychologists, be prepared, because when they do, to speak with them, thoroughly with them, but don't bring it up, don't force the issue.
Don't bring it up, don't get it out of the open?
Yeah, now this is professional, this is what the psychologists say.
What do you tell them when they ask you about their mom? What do you talk about?
They don't. We talk about their mother quite often, but in terms of if we're doing something, sometimes I say, oh boy, you should see your mother this day, or if we're somewhere and I say, oh, your mother used to love coming here. But, you know, my kids are like most kids. They don't look back, they look forward.
Many people in this country consider you a pariah. How are you treated
Well, you know, that's
when
what...
you go about your daily business?
That's what bothers me a lot about the media, and that's why I'm focusing on the media so much. Anyone who's ever been around me in public, including members of your staff here, I believe, will tell you that I'm constantly having people hugging and touching me and buying me drinks and encouraging me to take care of the kids and move on. And the one or two times that a journalist had taken the time to follow me and find out the facts. The lady wrote a story from Esquire. She didn't know me. She hung out for a month outside of my house. I didn't even speak to her. And people like Arala would say she's an OJ groupie because she investigated. Instead of these, constantly I'm hearing these guests of shows making comments about me who've never seen me in public, never taken the opportunity to find out a fact.
And yet, in a survey taken in June of this year, nearly 70% of the people surveyed believe that you killed Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman. Do you truly believe that will ever change?
Well, you know, I don't know. Maybe, hopefully it will. But I got to tell you this. I would say 40% of my friends today, when they met me, thought I was guilty. And they're close friends of mine now. They don't believe it now. That's
You've
one of the reasons.
lost many friends through this, haven't you?
Not really. Not friends. I mean, people who are acquaintances of mine, people who benefited from it. You know, what I always tell people is that why is it during the course of this trial, the people who spent the most time with Nicole and I, the people who was closest to Nicole and I, you don't see them on TV. You see this party group of friends, you know a few of them, a party group of friends of hers who went out and partied with her in the last year or so of her life. Nicole Brown, I mean, Faye Resnick knew Nicole for what, 12, 13 months, maybe 18 months at the most. But Cora Fishman was with her every day and totally disagrees with what these party girls have had to say.
Except many people might be thinking O.J. Simpson lives in a dream world.
I'm told that, but I said every single journalist who's ever taken the time to investigate my life now comes back with a different opinion. I can name you, ask Star Jones, you ask some of the writers who've taken the time to write about my life now. They feel totally different despite the media who constantly says I'm delusional. You know, they don't do any investigation. They want me to be delusional, but if they took the time to find out, they would find that my life is a lot different than they're reporting.
O.J. Simpson, thanks very much.
Thank you, Ms. Couric.
It is 7:54. We'll be back after this.